everybody. Welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast. And we are so excited today. We are here to talk about two of this weekend's Hallmark movies. We're talking Christmas on Call and Three Wiser Men and a Boy. And I'm film critic Rachel Wagner, and Bree's here.
Happy holidays, everybody. I'm
Yay!
alive. I'm still here.
Yeah. You almost made it to the Thanksgiving break.
Yeah.
As a teacher, that's an accomplishment.
Yes. Yes. It's like low crawling through the mud.
Yeah, and congratulations. You got Teacher of the Month. It's
I
very exciting.
did.
Way to
Thank
go.
you. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
But I think we got how do you feel like the season has started? I know we talk about this in our text message threads, but people haven't heard us talk, in a while.
Yeah.
So
So far, there hasn't been anything that I've truly hated. Even the stuff that's been bad, for the most part, has been bonkers bad. And
yeah.
I would rather watch bonkers bad, where I'm laughing how ridiculous this is, than typical Hallmark bad,
Yeah.
which is just
I don't think
usually
it's been a bad season
boring.
either.
No, so I don't think it's been a bad season. There hasn't been that much that's kind of blown me away that I've just loved. But yeah, I think it's been a pretty good season. I really
Yeah.
do. Yeah.
Yeah, you know me, I'm always checking the Facebook groups, which guys, I mean, if you're not on there, stay away.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, I feel like people are being really harsh this year.
Are they?
And
They're not liking them, huh?
yeah, luckily, I mean, there's people that have go into it with the mindset of like us of just watch them and enjoy them. Like it is what it is, you know?
Yeah.
But some people are really negative, oh my God, nothing's been good this year. And I'm like, that's not true.
Yeah. I mean, that's surprising because usually those groups are the positivity police. Yeah, you're not allowed to say
Not
anything
this year.
even slightly.
Yeah, not this
I
year.
can't stand it. Oh, wow. That's interesting. Yeah, it's been, I think, a pretty good season. I've enjoyed covering it. I mean, have you gotten a chance to read anything Christmassy that you want to give a shout out to that you especially liked?
I'm reading, oh my gosh. It's called Fa La 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 Faking It. That's my current read. It's Terry Wilson's. It's the second book in
Oh
one of her
yeah.
Blue Bonnet series, and it's a Christmas book. And I'm loving it so far. I did read one recently. It's kind of spicy and it's really long. I don't think I would recommend it because I was I feel like I can't really tell you much about it other than girl returns to the small town. It's even got a spin of Hallmark. She calls it Love Mark. She's a writer for this Love
Oh.
Mark channel. It's How My Neighbor Stole Christmas.
Oh,
I was just this book is
I read
really
that. It is
long.
very spicy.
Yeah. It's
Very
really long.
I started to read it. Whoa.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I'm just waiting for all my library audiobooks to come in. I'm reading one now. It's probably going to be it's Kiss Me at Christmas by Jenny Bayless. And I think it's set in the world of theater. I
Oh.
just started it though. Her Christmas book that I read a couple seasons ago called Seasons of Christmas, I think. It was more like women's fiction and romance. I loved it. So I'm hoping I love this one too, but I just got into it. So,
Mhm.
what about you?
Well, I would probably recommend Jenny Hale's new book.
I love
Uh,
Jenny.
yeah, the Noel Bridge is
Okay.
probably my favorite of the new Christmas books that I've read.
Okay.
Very sweet, and she's gotten more dramatic in her last couple books. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not a drama, but it's just a mixture, of things, of elements, which I appreciate. And I thought it was a sweet, cozy book.
Yeah.
So
Jenny just does Christmas so well. She knows the job and does the job.
yeah, definitely,
I was
definitely.
texting Dory. Dory is rereading uh Miracle on Fifth Avenue. I'm like, don't call it whatever
Oh,
Up TV called it. They changed the
Christmas on
title.
Fifth Avenue,
Yeah, and then
so
the
good.
the other book, Christmas book in that one is oh my gosh, something on Manhattan. I can't remember. But there's two Christmas books in
Oh
that
yeah,
series. And she said she's reading both of them. And I was like, that's a good idea.
that is a
So
good idea. I love that book and I love that movie.
yeah. I was like, I might do that. I used to reread Miracle on Fifth Avenue every season, and I haven't read it the past couple Christmases. So I'm like, maybe I need to read Eva's book. And the other one, her name's Harriet. She has a stutter. I think she has a stutter. Yeah, she has a stutter.
Oh,
And I
really?
haven't reread that one at all. So I was like, maybe I'll
Oh, I need
reread
to read
those.
that. I
Yeah, girl, it's
really
so
did
good. It
enjoy.
starts off with her like trying to escape a date by like escaping out of the restaurant
Oh
bathroom
no.
window. So good.
Oh, that's cool. Well, let us know if you're listening, if you've read any really good Christmas reads this
Yeah.
season. We'd love to hear that. Ho, ho, ho. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast, especially at Christmas?
Do you enjoy the holiday previews, recaps, interviews, and bonus episodes?
If the answer is yes, please consider supporting the Hallmarkies Patreon. We need your help to do what we do both during the Christmas season and all year round.
But not only do you help a podcast led by strong, independent women by becoming a Patreon, you get to become a part of the Hallmarkies family.
Starting at only $2 a month as a patron, you will have access to our Facebook Patreon group where we talk about the movies, shows, and more all year.
We also have many monthly patron watch-alongs with guests like Lacey Chabert, Natalie Hall, Paul Campbell, Mary Lou Henner, and more, giving their behind-the-scenes details of their films.
As a patron, you also have the chance to provide input into the podcast and even join us at different tiers.
So this Christmas season, spread some cheer to the Hallmarkies Patreon and become a member today. You won't regret it.
Go to patreon.com/hallmarkies to learn more.
That's patreon.com/hallmarkies. Let's dive in. Let's talk about these two movies. The first one, Christmas on Call. This aired on the 22nd. Sarah Canning and Sir Darius Blaine and director Jeff Beasley. And it's in the lead up to Christmas. Emergency room doctor Hannah Michaels juggles her demanding job and a budding romance with EMT Wes Sullivan in Philadelphia. They spend time together as Wes helps her become more acquainted with the sights, sounds, and tastes of Philadelphia. It's clear that they're starting to fall for each other as the local first responders balance duty with holiday celebrations. They come together to face challenges, support each other, and find moments of joy. So I don't remember if I gave this a cull, but I think it was a sock because it sounded pretty boring to me. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, no shade to Philly. I'm sure it's an incredible town, but just like finding the the summary did not sell it very well. The spending time together as Wes helps become more acquainted with the sights, sounds, and tastes of Philadelphia. Like that just does not sound like very exciting.
Mm.
But I was pleasantly surprised by this. I just thought this was such a nice, sweet movie. This is a very cozy movie. What did you think overall?
I loved it too.
Yeah.
I loved it. I was nervous because again, the Facebook groups.
Oh no.
They're,
They don't like
I,
it?
well, a lot of people, most people do. A lot of people said it started off slow, so they stopped watching. And people were like, keep watching because, oh my gosh, this movie is so good. And so I went into it like, oh gosh, how's this going to go? And I loved this movie. I loved it.
Yeah. Like sometimes you just want to watch a nice movie. A
Yeah.
nice movie about nice people living nice lives. Like, and that's what this movie is. It's like the
Yeah.
epitome of a Hallmark movie in that regard.
Yeah. And
These
it's really
people,
like the pacing is great because you're
yeah,
following her as a doctor, and then her neighbor is so sweet and constantly bringing her food because she doesn't eat,
yeah,
and seeing him and like just I feel like they did a great job of like showing us how good of a person he is and like just him having served in the military and he still continues service by like them putting the lights up for the fallen firefighters family. Like it just was so fast. And then the police officers bought in like the comedic aspect to it. And I loved that.
yeah.
I don't
Like
know.
I love a bonkers movie where you're getting Santa Claus and people are going to altered dimensions and craziness and
Yeah.
Irish Christmas villages and stuff I'm all for it. All of that nuts
Hot
stuff.
Frosties.
Yeah. But I also like just a simple movie about normal people doing their jobs and getting to know each other and falling in love and talking and serving their community and all of that too. Like they can both be done well.
Yeah. And I think what I loved about it was there wasn't a dark moment because I feel like the conflict the entire film was These are two people whose schedules are going to be part of their relationship. Her being a
Yes.
doctor, him being an EMT. And I loved that they didn't have her be a doctor trying to have a romance with a normal guy and have to explain this is my job. Like they both just got it. It was understood. I loved that they ended the movie with them kissing and then both going back to work. It's just like
Yeah.
it's an
Well,
understanding of like our service, our duty is part of it. Almost feels like a royal romance. Like the duty is just part of the
yeah.
relationship and you either get it or you don't. But
Yeah, you knew what I was when you started dating.
when you
Like we
started dating
understood that this
me,
is not going away. And I also liked and we'll dive into it, but like the fact when she misses the date, she tells him, she says, I have a very overwhelming job, but I don't want that to stop me from having experiences. Like
yeah,
she's not like excusing, like she's proactive
yeah,
in like, okay, I did this. I want to make it better.
yeah, yes,
Yeah, it was really good. So she's an ER doctor. Her neighbor in the opening scene makes her manicotti, which like you'd be my favorite neighbor
yeah,
if you did that.
love her.
Manicotti. It's so good. What's your go-to casserole if you were gonna make a one pot kind of casserole type dish?
Well, I do like a stuffed pepper soup, but my mom does a
Oh,
stuffed pepper casserole. I've tried it once
oh.
and I did not do it justice at all. The rice was not cooked. But probably that. I don't know, just because I
Yeah.
love like bell peppers and cheese and hamburger meat. What's yours?
I really love this like super basic chicken pot pie.
Hmm.
I love like a pot of chili any day. Like that's one of my favorites, but also just like it's as basic as it gets, just like canned soups, cooked chicken, frozen vegetables, Bisquick on top. Like it's like super super simple, but it's just like yummy. It's
Yeah.
comforting. You can put it together in like 15 minutes literally. All you have to do is just cook the chicken in the microwave, just cook it until, because it doesn't have to look pretty because it's going in the pie. So cut, and then you just mix it with the frozen vegetables. You add like 2 cans of cream of chicken or whatever you like, soup, mix it, put the biscuit topping, Bisquick.
Mhm.
All you have to do is mix it with water, boom, and then you just stick it in the oven, and you've got this like homey, comforting. I mean, like I am
Delicious.
sure that like every ingredient made from scratch, chicken, a homemade pie crust. I'm sure that's better, but like this is, I think, a very yummy, very easy weeknight dinner.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so that's a
Justice
favorite.
for casseroles, okay?
Yeah, let us know your favorite casserole in the
If you're from the
comments.
Midwest, your favorite hot dish.
Yeah, I do. I love a hot dish. I
Yeah.
really do. I mean, and like a baked ziti, you can't go wrong with that.
Oh gosh, no. Yeah. I can't make lasagna, but I love people's lasagna.
Yeah, definitely. So she makes manicotti, which is just so yummy. Oh my gosh. And he's an EMT and very busy as well. And then you also have the side relationships, which really help to this movie, like just make it even more charming.
Yeah, I love
You
that.
know, so
Yeah.
you've got the cops
Mhm. And I
that
think his sister was the female cop, right? Was that his sister
was
or
that
like
his
his
sister?
cousin?
Okay, I missed that, but yeah, the two cops, and I loved the line when he's like, "Yeah, we've been in each other's lives for a long time. Our mother introduced us,
Yeah.
sister."
I love when they're like pursuing the bad guy that's like spray painting on the wall and
Yeah,
she's just like hardcore chasing him out in pursuit and she's just like it's okay, trust me.
yeah.
And he's like, where'd you get your training done? And she's like, trust me on this. And
And
they
then
walk
he's
around
just
the
in the
corner
dumpster. That made
in
me
the
laugh.
dumpster.
Those two did a great job. I want to
Yeah,
interview them. They were really good. They elevated those roles and they had good chemistry.
they did. They
They
did.
did.
It just worked.
Yeah. Yeah. And so then you have various patients who kind of come in and out, which also made it feel Like I watched this and I'm thinking this could be a pilot for a show that I would totally watch.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like really, and so there's this woman who's pretty lonely. She's got this
Mhm.
asthma problems, and Sarah Canning, she's so Sarah Canning's trying to talk to her about like getting some mental health care, some therapy, some whatever, and going to this crisis center or whatever it was. And she's not convinced, this woman.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
love that with her. She says it later on in the movie, like she mentions that she has a chronic illness. And all of my friends that have chronic illnesses, like on social media, are always like, people do not believe something is wrong with you. So I was like, look,
Mm.
I was proud of Hallmark for kind of
Yeah.
spotlighting that because I think it's something more and more people are realizing they have. But for years, people just thought they were making up these
Yeah.
illnesses or whatever.
Well, and not all illnesses are like obvious from the outside,
Mhm.
you know. Like some are mental health related, others are are just all different kinds in our bodies, they're
Yeah.
complicated things. So we should always try to have empathy, sympathy for
Yeah.
for people if at all possible. And so then we have the we have the two people, his neighbors, fighting.
Love that. Another
Yeah.
comedic like
Yeah.
addition to the story.
And Adam Hertig's the one of the neighbors, and we just had him on the pod a couple of weeks ago. So you have to check out that interview. It's pretty fun. He always delivers. I can't think of a single performance of his where I was underwhelmed.
Yeah.
He's really solid.
Yeah.
He's
The
really good. He was in
timing
Santa
was just like
Summit. He's in, he's good. He's a good actor.
yeah.
Yeah. So
And it was fun to
uh
see them as like police officers respond and just kind of be the mediators. Like they're literally just and I think even one of them says it like, why are we here?
yeah. And like I it doesn't have the writer on IMDb for this one, but whoever it is, this was not an easy script. This was a
No.
hard script to write. All of these characters, like keeping it from being like boring, keeping you invested, keeping it funny. Like there were a lot of moving parts to this
Yeah.
script.
And I appreciated that because it goes to show that like I guess the first responder world like is it's its own community um like with Harlequin their medical line like if you love small town you're going to love the medical
Mm,
line because the hospital is essentially a small town and when you
yeah,
think
that's
about it
true.
like firefighters and your police officers like they're all just part of this interconnected community that relies on each other, feeds off of each other, like they all
Yeah,
help each other. So I just
that's a
I
good
love
point.
that they were included.
Yeah. It's a good point. So then we have this little kid coming in
Yeah.
she shows him the stethoscope and has a feel at her heart and her wrist and everything. And so she's just a very, very good doctor,
Yeah, for
very
sure.
thoughtful. And then you have woman at the hospital that they work with who we see her chatting with her daughter in the army.
Oh, yeah,
That
I
must have
know.
gone for you as a veteran,
Yeah.
that
Oh,
plot.
I was like, you got to bring her home. You have to bring her home.
Yes.
But I love
Yeah.
that mother-daughter.
That must be, I mean, it must be so hard being overseas during the holidays. I, they, did you find certain things that like helped you like keep your spirits up?
I think like I think being deployed during Christmas didn't I think the first time it really hit me that I was an adult was my first time working on Christmas. Like
Mm,
I don't think people realize like having a normal like Monday through Friday job where the Christmas is coming and you're going to be off, that is a privilege. Like
yeah, that's true.
being like a 19-year-old kid and like being outside on Christmas, night or whatever, it's like, oh my gosh, like I'm an adult.
Yeah. Yeah,
This is
it's
different.
true.
So, yeah, I love that they included that. I love that, she seems like maybe it was just her and her mom. Like the nurse didn't seem like maybe she was married or anything. And so I was like, look, I just loved that little touch, that little
Yeah.
detail.
So they end up going on this date, or they set up this date,
Yeah.
and she misses it because
This
somebody
is it.
comes in, and he leaves the tree and the takeout there. And this was such a grown-up moment because he
Yeah.
was like a little bit irritated. He wasn't just like walked over. He was a little annoyed, but he wasn't like unreasonable.
Yeah.
And then she had like an appropriate response, and she felt bad about it. And like, it was just such a grown-up scene.
And the neighbor had popped her head out too. And I think she was just like,
Yeah.
just leave it for her.
Yeah.
And it's that like, yeah, he was clearly, I think you could tell that he didn't feel stood up, but it's like, I have been waiting out here and you didn't show.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just very, very well done. It made
Yeah.
you like both of them.
Yeah.
They made them very likable.
Yeah.
So that was good. And yeah, this is when we get the two cops. me and Leela, our parents introduced us. My sister. That was really funny. Yeah, they were. I wonder if I can find it quick who they were, because they were so good. I liked
They
them
were
so much.
adorable together. He was like the all over the place and she's just kind of the chill, calm, but you can tell she's into him. But then there's that scene where he like this girl shows up and it's like, oh no, does he have a girlfriend?
I
No.
think that's Eric Athavale and Rena Jolly. I think
Mhm.
those are the two actors. So well done. You did a
Yeah,
great job.
they were adorable
You did
together.
a really
Perfect.
excellent. Uh, so then we have this scene where he takes her all around Philadelphia, and we get the scene in the cheesesteak place with Donna Kelsey cameo.
Yeah, Mama
Donna
Kelsey.
Kelsey, which was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
I feel
was
like
fun.
Mama Kelsey is like the mother of Christmas this year.
Yeah, she is. She's America's mother
She's
this year.
America's mother.
And then we get Adam Hertig's character. He apologizes, and then we get a scene with them decorating a tree, and he gets her a Rocky ornament, a
Yeah.
boxing glove ornament. And she says, "I was nervous about spending this alone. I've got news for you. You're not alone."
You're not
Oh,
alone. And then there was an almost kiss.
there was. I'm just like, "Oh, please."
After like I think
The
that was
stupid
from like
phone.
that moment on through the rest, I swooned the whole time. I was like the intensity, the tension that they
Yeah.
built from like that scene forward was just perfect. It was
Cell phones are
perfect.
the thief of love, as I've said
Yeah.
many a time, and this was never more true. So then we see the inhaler lady again, and the doctor, she says, "I need you to treat your heart.
Yeah.
I can give you the medicine, but I need you to treat your heart," which was very sweet.
Yeah.
And then we see her later on eating at the center, whatever it was. So
With
uh,
two women. So
yeah,
it's
with
like he just
other
needed some
women.
friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Conversation between the two police things about Die Hard being a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
This is like now, I think, the second time this has been come up. It was in, I think, Christmas Charade. They also talked about it. Uh, do you have an opinion about this? About Die Hard being a Christmas
I
movie?
don't because I've never watched it,
You never
but
watched Die Hard?
I know people that are hardcore, like it is the best Christmas
Yeah.
movie.
Okay. And I've said it many times before. It is absolutely a Christmas movie. There's really no debate. The whole event, the whole movie takes place at a Christmas party. That's where it all starts. The only reason he's in Los Angeles is because of Christmas. He's there to
Yeah.
visit his kids for Christmas. He even at one point the character says ho ho ho. Like, it is like,
It's a Christmas
it's a Christmas
movie.
movie. Like, in all, like, the only argument for not being a Christmas movie is, like, I guess, one of tone. If you require your Christmas movies to only have a particular tone and you can't handle any other tones, then I guess we just have different definitions of
Yeah.
Christmas movies. Like, there's other ones that there's like actual debate because like things are just kind of happening in December. Okay. But like when Christmas is like, it's a Christmas party. It's happening at a Christmas
Yeah.
party. Like,
So true.
so there's no debate. Let's stop.
Yeah.
but this is when they chase the graffiti guy. That was really funny. And then we see the woman, her soldier daughter is there. Oh, that was
Yeah.
very sweet. And they're all like, we did this for you.
They set it
Oh,
up for her. Yeah. But like there's a
yeah.
patient in there that needs something and she goes in and it's her daughter.
Yeah. There's a couple times when they end up under mistletoe,
Yeah.
which was cute.
Yeah.
And we didn't get like this first time we didn't get the kiss, but it was kind of like a fun little dynamic
Yeah.
throughout the movie. We'd like to take a second to thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's Mistletoe at Jameson Ranch, the new clean, uplifting romance and entry in the Teacher Project by writer Anna Grace. Award-winning author Anna Grace is back with another installment in her heartwarming series, The Teacher Project. 5 teachers are recruited to revive a high school in the tiny cantankerous town of Pronghorn, Oregon, shaking up the community and creating friendships to last a lifetime. In Mistletoe at Jameson Ranch, Nashville lawyer Harlow Jameson returns to Pronghorn to find big changes to her little town and new faces, including Vander Torn, a gorgeous teacher and cowboy in training. Harlow is roped into helping with the holiday pageant, and Vander's showing her a whole new side of Pronghorn and herself. But is a picture-perfect Christmas season enough to bridge the gap between the city girl and her sweet cowboy? Mistletoe at Jameson Ranch has been called the perfect Christmas read by early reviewers and is available at all the major retailers and online. You can use the affiliate link below. That's Mistletoe at Jameson Ranch by Anna Grace. We know you'll love it. People ask her, what's the game plan? What's your goal? And she says, I love it here. And so she's trying to figure things out as you would.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, you've experienced this. You started a new career.
Yeah.
Like it's an adjustment.
And I think with her, like her dad was a doctor. So I think just in true Hallmark fashion, like, is this my home? You know, like that question of what is home? And to see her finally realize, I think Philly is feeling like home. It's like, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. She says, if a patient is in the ER, chances are they're having a worse day than you are.
Yeah.
Which is a nice thought. And then she joins the a cappella group. They need a fourth.
Oh, that was so fun.
That was fun. That was cute.
Because she was looking like, I do not know what I'm doing. I'm a doctor.
Yeah.
I don't walk around singing.
I like it in these movies when they have like authentic singing, when it's not like, oh, this actor is trying to get a recording contract, you know?
Yeah.
When they just sound like a normal person singing.
Yeah.
I like that. So then we have the asthma lady. It's been a while since anyone worried about me.
Yeah. Oh, that one was touching.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You've got the teen who's going to be going to college.
I loved his storyline.
Yeah, that was sweet. It's the little ones knowing you make a difference that keeps us going. It's very, very sweet. Then they have this station potluck, and I don't think they'd have it like outside in the winter in Philadelphia.
Yeah,
I think it'd be inside. That's the only thing I was
never been. If you live in Philadelphia, let us know. Is it cold there? Because we're imagining that it's cold. Oh, I also love that he's kind of like training the new girl. Like she adds like a, you know, there's just like that extra character too. Yeah.
Yeah. And so then there's this huge fire, and that was like a pretty decent set piece, I thought, for Hallmark. Like that fire.
I was like, is this the scene where he's going to get hurt and it's going to be her having to like take care of him? And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, he goes in after the chief, and we need to have Paul Asiambre on the podcast because he's done so many of these movies.
Yeah.
He was the chief.
And see, I'm a 911 fan, so I was like, all I kept thinking was like, this reminds me of like Athena Grant.
Oh yeah.
I was like, okay, where is this going? I'm excited. I love scenes like this. But yeah, I thought I was happy that we had.
He saves the day. The hero.
We want the chief to survive, but you know.
He goes in after the chief. He saves them.
Yeah.
The chief is okay. And So that was very exciting. And so then it turns out the two cops, the flirting cops, they've been thinking that each other have been ghosting each other because they don't respond to each other's texts.
Yeah.
Well, it turns out he has the wrong phone number.
Yeah, that'll do it every time. People won't respond if you're not texting the right number.
Yeah. And so she's like, hey, would you like to go to the ball? It could be really fun. And they do the shut up and kiss me kiss, which I love.
Yeah, I love that
really
too.
good. And then they go back a second time. Yeah, it was really good. I've been waiting a year to do that.
Swoon.
Swoon, yeah. And then it shows the two of them, like you're saying, they're talking outside, and it's like I don't think we need mistletoe.
No, yeah,
No.
I loved that.
And then you're right, like they go back to work
Yeah,
after having the moment. So
and the kiss was perfect because they kind of kiss, and then I think he like sneaks another kiss into her, and then she like grabs him and she like gives
yeah, it
him
was
like one
really
more kiss,
good.
and then she goes. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my god, waiting for this.
Yeah. This was way better than I expected. So maybe the low expectations helped it, but this was just a nice movie that we like. If I was feeling sad and wanted to pick me up, like this is the perfect Hallmark
One you would
movie
put
for
on.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't all dramatic. We didn't have that moment that we're all waiting
nobody was
for.
lying. Nobody was.
We've been leaning heavily into the lying plot lines this
Yeah.
season. I'm like, what's going on? Why are we using lying?
It's true.
But
Yeah, we have been. And so, I mean, I don't know. I'd give it like 4.5 crowns. I really enjoyed it.
yeah, same.
It was
4.5.
very pleasant.
It was great.
All right. So then we have three wiser men and a boy. And this was on the 23rd. It stars Paul Campbell, Tyler Hines, Andrew Walker, director Terry Ingram, and it has a writing team, Kimberly Sested, Paul Campbell, Russell Hainline in assistance. The story begins 5 years later with the Brenner brothers preparing for another memorable Christmas. In a crazy turn of events, possibly brought on accidentally by the brothers themselves, the director of Luke's son Thomas' school holiday musical steps down. Luke is desperate to make his son's stage dreams come true, so he enlists the help of his brothers, Taylor and Stephen. Meanwhile, the trio navigates meeting their mom Barbara's new boyfriend, and the brothers grapple with their own feelings about this relationship. In true Brenner brothers fashion, they are all in for a Christmas they will never forget.
Do you feel like this is the most anticipated or the Chiefs one? What do you think?
You know, I think that obviously the Chiefs one is the most anticipated for like the non super fan or like the average viewer of Christmas movies. That one's the most anticipated. But I think for the super fan, for people who are likely listening to our podcast, this is the most anticipated.
This is the one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I recorded Lifetime's Taylor Swift and Travis movie.
Did you watch it?
I need to watch it today. I recorded it last night and I was like,
it's super cheesy. We interviewed the writer, Irene Donahue. It's super cheesy, but I think for like what it was trying to do is like fun fan fiction. I enjoyed it.
Good. Yeah. Yeah, I was wondering, I was like, are people more interested in the Chiefs movie? I haven't seen much chatter about that one versus this one.
It's true. Like, I just think it's the one that like non-Hallmark fans or just people who, if you're only going to watch one Hallmark movie this year, that's probably the one, because it had like, you know, people talking about it on the Super Bowl and, you know, stuff like that. But for the hardcore,
it was this.
Yeah.
And, you know, the people in the Facebook groups.
Oh, they didn't like it?
They did not enjoy it as much as the first one. And I was like, well, we begged and begged for them to make another. What do you expect? Like, that's the price you pay when you love the first movie and you ask them to do another one. Like, will it live up?
Hot take. I like this one better. Hot take.
I think I do too.
The reason why I gave the first one, I think, a perfect score. I really enjoyed it. It was super fun.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, loved it. The reason why this one is better is because it fundamentally just makes more sense. Like the idea that this woman would drop this baby off at like
The fire station
that's
for a
not even
break.
the actual they didn't have like the gumption to make Andrew Walker the father of the baby.
Yeah.
And so the whole plot, well, okay, well, we're not going to turn the baby into social services. We're going to wait like a weekend. Why? Like there was just like a lot more like things that made no sense, especially
Yeah.
for like he's a firefighter. Like, of course that's what he would do. There would be protocol. Like there were just so many things in the first one that made no sense. I didn't care because I enjoyed the journey of it. Who cares? But this one, I didn't have any issues like that. So I enjoyed it more.
Yeah. I loved it. I loved
Yeah.
it. Was hilarious.
Yeah. And I felt like the relationships felt like a little bit less of an afterthought than in the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously the first one, the focus is the three brothers and their relationships, their friendships with each other, and then their couplings, various couplings felt more like sort of an afterthought. Whereas this one, that's still the focus is the three brothers and their relationship, but their couplings were a little bit more meaningful, I think.
Yeah. And I love that the kind of the heart of it is like them even as grown men struggling with mom is moving on. And
Yeah,
her
yeah,
speech towards the end of like, he loves me and I need you to let him do that. Like
yeah,
she's like, I have put you guys first your whole lives. Like it's time for me to start living. I was like, oh gosh, that is a drops mic moment. Like,
yeah. It
oh, it
was
was
really
so
good.
good.
Pastor Roy was a huge hit.
Yeah, he was a hit. He
Props
was
to
a hit.
Pastor Roy. He was really good. And so we get our introduction to the different characters, see where they're going. We've got Andrew Walker at the beginning. He misses the trash bin collection, running after like he's the most like homebody established dad of
Yeah.
the group.
And that's how he says it in the movie. Like, I'm just a dad.
Yeah. And he
The
says
best
Larry
moment
that
I felt so seen was like he gets the son all put up in his jacket and everything. He's like, all right, what's the first thing we're gonna do? And he's like, I gotta use the bathroom. And I was like, that is me. Like walking out the door, jacket on, and just being like, nope, I need to go back and use the bathroom.
well, he says that they thought that taking care of the baby was going to be the hardest part, but really navigating these older years are is harder in
Hmm.
helping him to not feel sad and navigate all these challenges. As a mom, what do you think? Would you say there was like the toughest era of raising a kid, or that's just all tough?
Oh my gosh. Like I was just telling a coworker yesterday, I was like, obviously you love the cute little years. I was like, but when they're like teenagers, it's actually pretty fun because
Yeah,
they're young people. You get to, they give you jokes and you could joke back and forth and you have like these real conversations. So I'm loving my two teenager in
yeah.
their years. Yeah.
Yeah. Would you say that there was an age that you think's the hardest?
Oh yeah, those ages when they're like I don't know, like pre-K through like second grade, like,
Oh, that's the
and there
hardest, huh?
with mine, it was like, we worked and we had to take them to daycare and like, I mean, kids are just they're mean regardless of age, but like when they're little, they're really mean, and that was just hard. It's like I have to I have to bring you here because I need that support because we have to go to work, but there would just be days where you're like, I cannot wait to get off work because I don't want my kid to be around these other kids that make them feel awful.
Yeah.
So, yeah, those little years are tough.
It's hard. It really is. Yeah. And knowing like the best way to help like each individual kid, like I remember when I was going to kindergarten, there was like the teachers had this goal of like every kid is going to be able to read when they leave kindergarten, which I guess is like a noble goal. But like I didn't really read until I was like 7,
Mm.
and which is like in the realm of normal. Like it's not
Yeah.
like, that's normal. So like something like that's when things become hard, is that trying to kind of force the square peg into a round hole, you
Hmm.
know, it's very hard. But we have so the Paul Campbell character, he is not just a pet therapist anymore. He has a new book about conquering his anxiety.
Yeah.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, Hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/hallmarkies.
And then Tyler, he is like trying to get people to invest in his game that he's made, but they don't want to invest in the game. They just want to buy the game.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was the least compelling of the like kind of the story arcs, but it was interesting when he basically says like, I don't want to be the guy that's just living in my mom's basement forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That
But even those types of jobs are needed. I mean, so many people are gamers, but I can see it being like a tough world to kind of break into. And it would be easy for him to just sell it. But, you know, he's like, I think he says something towards the end, like, I got dreams to chase or something like that. And it's like, don't give up on it.
Yeah. So then we have Tyler, he's about to get evicted from his place. So he's like, oh, I'm going to have to live in the basement again. His landlord, Scrooge, was a good businessman. That was funny. He has until Friday to move out. And then we have the Paul Campbell, he's still dating Fiona.
Yeah.
You know. And she thinks he's proposing at one point when he kneels down to pick something up or whatever. It's like, oh darn. It did kind of make me laugh that this firehouse is the most festive firehouse of any I think I've ever seen. There were like 8 Christmas trees.
Yeah.
So ain't that great firehouse. And there's a whole scene with them zooming in with mom.
Yeah. What did she call it? Are we doing the zoomies? I don't know what she said. And they're
zoomies,
like, Mom, we don't call it that. And the whole time, like, they can't hear. And they're like, Mom, press the button.
Yeah. And so then we get into the like pageant, basically, that this guy's running this play, and the directions, if you can't sing, smile big.
Yeah.
Which is a good, that's good for kids.
Good life lesson. Yeah, it's a good life lesson. How
the grump ruined Christmas.
Because we can't afford to get that other word.
Yeah. Which is funny. The drama teacher, everyone just sees me as a free babysitter. Which, fair enough. That's definitely a thing. That's definitely a thing. And so then there's like this, what do they call it? The, you know, those things where like one thing topples over and the next thing and the next thing.
Yeah, Paul Campbell knocks something over and it just keeps on going. He like ruins everything.
Yeah, it's like a dominoes thing, which was funny. I'll no longer be part of this tragedy.
Oh my
gosh. So the mom has a new boyfriend.
Yeah.
And
Pastor.
This is a big thing. I don't know. Did your parents get divorced, or did they stay together?
Yeah, my parents got divorced when I was in middle school. Yeah.
Okay. So could you relate to like this dynamic that the sons are feeling a little bit?
Yeah, I think, well, when my parents divorced, I think I remember telling my mom, like, it's about time. Because even as a kid, I could just tell, like, my parents had like the classic friends to lovers romance, and they are the example of why a lot of friends don't pursue it, because then they ended up getting divorced, and then they never, like, that friendship, that best friendship that they had was gone. but I was interested to see them as adults, especially as men. You know, we
Yeah.
talk about this all the time. Like we want Hallmark to do more men stories. And I think it was just awesome to see them be like, this is weird. Like we're used to doing this for her. And now here's this guy. And
Yeah.
yeah.
In my interview with Paul Campbell, which you should all listen to, I talked to him about that, about how they were portraying masculinity in both of these movies, and that you could have, you know, men taking care of children and being thoughtful and but also still being men, like still being
Yeah.
like all of that thing could be part, and that's something that they were really cognizant of and they were really thinking about as they wrote the
Yeah.
story.
You can tell. It was all very thoughtful, I think. All very thoughtful.
Yeah. And so then we have them taking over the show, and
You broke it, you bought it.
Yeah, and Pastor Roy is there as well, helping him. And we're going to make this more Christmassy than ever before.
Yeah.
And they go over to their mom's house, and she has completely put all the storage in their room.
Yeah.
Except
Tyler walks into the basement and he's like, my lair. And I had to rewind it because I was like, is he happy? And then I rewinded it. And I was like, oh no, he's upset. She's changed everything.
Room. Except for Andrew's room. That's the only one. But I do think that one makes a little bit more sense, because if he's the one that has the grandchild.
Exactly. Yeah.
Then I don't think it's a question of like she likes that son more than the other two. Yeah. It's just that there's more necessity for a room.
For in his case, his situation.
So it's like, I can use these other rooms for other stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I mean, that was never a thing for me, because my parents moved my senior year of high school across the country. And so their new place I'd only lived at for about 9 months in California. So I had no like emotional attachment to that room.
Yeah.
You know,
I know the first time I came home as an adult, like I had flown home from Korea and my family had totally moved into a new house. And I had a minute where I was like, I don't live here. Like there's not even a room that's mine. Yeah. It hurts as an adult when you're like, this space isn't necessarily made for me to be in it long term. But then I was like, whatever, you're gone.
But I never had that feeling of like, oh, you're leaving my home, because I hadn't like lived there hardly at all.
There, yeah. I think that's the sad, like if you're somebody that's listening and like your parents still live in your childhood home, hit us up. I would love to know. I feel like that is such a fantasy for so many of us, because I moved around a lot. I don't even really have like a childhood home. Like we moved constantly.
Yeah.
So it's inspiring when you hear those like anomalies almost of people that are like, yeah, my parents still live in the same house. It's like, that happens still? Yeah.
So then they have Christmas Pictionary. That was fun.
A
nice little nod to When Harry Met Sally.
Yeah.
In there.
I was just listening to something that was like, so many rom-coms like wouldn't even exist without When Harry Met Sally.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, between when Harry Met Sally and Annie Hall, those are because When Harry Met Sally was very indebted to Annie Hall in so many ways. And so between the two of those, like, yeah, we can all say thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for giving us content to create.
Yeah, bringing a baby at the trifecta. But what do you think of the new elf outfits? Because that was the thing for this movie, is they had to kind of like give enough nods to the previous film without being like, this is exactly the same as the previous film.
I loved it. And I loved the introduction, like the music, the walking down the hallway, the little boy like slapping fives as he's walking through. I thought it was adorable.
Yeah. So there's a pianist at the school play. Her name is Caroline, and played by Erin Carplock. Caroline is a female you, but a better person.
Yeah, for old Tyler.
Caroline is a female you.
Yeah. Which funny. She was. Immediately, I was like, oh, they're perfect for each other.
And so then Andrew's going to take the mom to go get a tree, but then it turns out, oh, the boyfriend's already gotten it.
Mhm.
So that's some of the problem that we're having is like coordinating things and stepping on toes and different things like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that the mom could probably do a little bit better at just like communicating in general what's going on,
Yeah.
and so that way feelings don't get hurt. And then we get the let's see here. Life is too much fun to do it alone, and they get an almost kiss, but then they're stopped by the crowd watching
By the
them.
crowd,
Were
yeah.
you gonna kiss?
Oh, that was adorable because they're on a date at like,
Yeah.
I don't know, like a main event type place or whatever. And they just did that fun dance off and the kiss is about to happen. But then Andrew's character was like, Pat said something that inspired me. And then they end up there with the kids. And I was like,
Yeah,
oh, it's about to go down.
It's like a Dance Dance Revolution game,
Yeah.
but with Christmas. I'm like,
With
wish that
Christmas.
existed in real life.
It was so
Wish
good.
that was a real thing.
I was like, look at Tyler.
And this is where Andrew says, I thought having a baby was hard, but a kid is much harder. We need
Yeah.
a new plan.
We need a new plan.
So, yeah. I just think every part of life, I think it all has its challenges. It's all,
Yeah.
and
all
it's blessings.
challenging.
Every phase, every season of life. That's just the way it is. But then they bring in, so they're like, we need a new plan. So
Oh,
then they bring in
God.
Matt Hamilton, and I died.
I died
he might
too.
have stole this movie. He was
You guys are in here
so
talking about your
funny.
feelings and stuff.
He was so
He's
good.
so good.
Mark. He's
Mark
played
Leclerc.
Mark Leclerc. Matt Hamilton is hilarious. He deserves more. He like leads everything. He's so good.
He's so good. And he's like hardcore, like military style, just running off ideas. And he's like, how much time do we got? 2 days. Well, that changes things. And he just keeps like going. And then like, one of them tries to interrupt him. And I think it's Tyler that's like, nope, let him go. Just let him go.
He's just like, hey, losers. Like
so good.
he was so good. It was probably my favorite part of this movie.
Yeah.
Like, I really
adding him
enjoyed
in. He was needed. I was
He
like,
was
oh, we needed
so
him.
good. Yeah, well done. If you're listening, Matt, you did a great job. He's revolutionizing everything.
Yeah. They could see my lights from the space station or whatever he said.
And so then there's like inflatables everywhere. It's like, what is happening? I laughed at that because my mom hates those inflatables. Like, said, like, if I had inflatables, I don't think my mom would visit.
No.
So that was funny. And so there's this fire. I was a little bit confused. What is Roy doing? He was like, he did have the torch out, and he was like, what was he doing? I was a little confused.
Yeah. Oh yeah, his name was Roy. I don't know why.
Like
I guess I keep calling him Pat because he was a pastor. I don't know. Like it's Roy. Yeah. The fire. I mean, they had to have that moment where it looked like all was lost. So I was like,
there was this fire and they accused Roy, and I was kind of confused by that because I'm like, isn't that kind of a valid accusation? Because one of them says you had a torch. Like, yeah, you had a torch.
Yeah. But hopefully, he wouldn't.
But
try
he
to
was like, no, it wasn't
them.
me. It was having too much. It was like an electrical fire.
Yeah.
But I just felt like, I was like, what is he doing? Why does he have a torch? I missed it. They must have said something, but I missed it of why he had the torch. But anyway, like he's just trying, and the mom says, I'm more than just a mom, and you just need to do some things for me. Don't punish Roy because just because it's hard to trust another man. I need you to let me love him. I need you to let him love me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is like, way to go, mom. That's right on, like sticking
Loved that moment
up for yourself. That was really good. And I liked when Andrew says, I'm no longer Mr. January.
Yeah.
That was funny.
A dad. Yeah.
It's a dad. It's hard to picture her as anything else but mom. And then that's when Matt comes in. While you were in here talking about your feelings, Pastor Roy called in a miracle. best. So he saves the day. Roy saves the day.
Yeah.
And gets everything ready to go for the play. And Tyler tells Paul, be a star as you are meant to be. And then you get this cute little scene between Paul and this little girl she says she's scared, and he says, I'm scared too, but we can be nervous together.
We can be nervous together.
Very sweet. Very, very sweet. And so then Tyler's the narrator of this production.
So good.
It's really cute. So fun. And Paul is the grump. He's basically the Grinch.
Yeah.
Then instead of the who's, it's the what's.
Yeah. And like they were arguing initially, like Tyler wanted to be the grump, and he's like, but I'm the grumpy one. And Paul's like, but I want to be the grump.
And I love when they push him like onto the stage, and they're like, engage your core. And the little girl singing the Christmas song, which is very sweet.
She saves the show because it was a mess.
Yeah, and then we get Kimberly Sestak coming in and saying, yeah, it's hard to follow up a hit with another hit, which was a fun little Easter egg.
Okay, I see what you're doing. The nod here. I love how this season, I feel like across the board, all of the movies are kind of like pointing fingers and paying homages. Even in Hot Frosty, like Lacey had that moment. She's like, she looks like somebody I went to high school with. And I was like,
right, that's fun. Did you like Hot Frosty?
I'm sorry, but I did. I did like it.
I did too.
I was like, you have to suspend a lot of belief with this one, but it was good.
But it's a magical story. So
it's a magical story. Yeah.
I thought I was laughing throughout.
I did too.
So that's
the old ladies, like when he didn't have his shirt off. I loved it.
Yeah, that was really funny. Same writer.
Really?
This, yeah, who helped with this, who did Hot Frosty.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, when Kimberly came in, I was just like, oh my gosh, she's gorgeous.
Yeah, it was fun. That was so then Paul says, I have so many parts that are broken. And she says, there's nothing wrong with you. And then he proposes. It was very sweit.
Tyler throws him a ring because he doesn't have. I promise I'm gonna get.
I get something better. and then Pastor Roy returns, and they show off the new dance.
The new dance, yeah,
because of course that was such a hit in the last one.
Yeah.
So
but now we have a new boy member to the boy group. So
yeah, that's true. I really enjoyed it. I guess my feeling is if people like what they like, and that's fine. But like, I guess my feeling is, what else could they have done?
Yeah.
I mean, what would you have wanted? I mean, we certainly don't want them to like have some kind of like super big conflict. They're brothers. Like, what are they going to be, like, estranged from each other? I mean, I really don't feel like there's much else that they could have done.
Yeah.
And I would say that this is definitely top tier Hallmark sequels, because most sequels are terrible.
They're bad. Yeah.
They're very terrible. But this was like very entertaining.
I was disappointed. Same here. Could not stay interested in this movie, and the characters just reverted back to old behavior from the first movie. You would think after 5 years, Tyler Hines' character would have grown and had his business off the ground by now. Exactly. I didn't like his character in this movie. Yeah, I like you. I'm just like, what did you expect? I don't know. I thought it was good.
I wouldn't say that, because he had gotten his own apartment. He had a business that had gotten off to the ground to the point that somebody wanted to buy it. Yeah. So it's just a question of, do I sell it or not?
I think they should do 3 men and a teenager before 3 men and a wedding, because people are like, should they do a 3 men and a wedding next, I guess, for Paul's character? But I don't want to see that. We don't wedding movies.
No, I tell you, I think the next one, if you're gonna do 3 men and a wedding, it's the mom getting married.
The mom, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, like, I liked the first one much better.
Be
this one was okay. Entertaining. Other than that, meh. I don't know.
I don't know what else they could have done.
I kind of don't want them to do another one, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, I'd be fine, like, but I do feel like how much is left in this to kind of,
Yeah.
I don't know, like are the jokes all kind of done? But
Because like my mom and I for the longest wanted like a part 2 to Santa stakeout.
oh
And eventually
yeah.
I was just like, I don't know, because that one was so good.
Well,
Like
that
it
one they could do because they could just have different cases,
another case, yeah.
you know,
But I was
and
like,
make it more
eventually I just let it go because
mysteries.
I'm like, what are they gonna
Yeah.
do? You know? I don't know.
Well, that's why I mean rom-coms you usually just don't want a sequel because they're already together. What else have you got to do? And
What
so
else
I
are we gonna
think for
do?
what they had to work with, I felt like it was really good. I really
Yeah.
enjoyed it. Like I said, I think in a lot of ways because it doesn't have this unbelievable baby plot, I think it was better than the first one. But
Yeah.
so I mean I would give this one 5. I give the last one 5. As far as like what we want out of these movies and being entertained, like I'm it was great. I
It
really
was
enjoyed
good.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
it was so funny. It was
yeah.
so funny.
Yeah. So
Paul
let us
Campbell
know.
just like so petty. I forgot what him and Tyler were arguing. He's like, "You're a child."
Yeah. And Matt Hamilton, you are a star.
Yeah.
Yeah. Know what you thought of both of these movies. We would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section or on Twitter. And if people want to follow you, Bree, how do they do that?
I am at Bree unabashedly on social medias. I do have my podcast, the Categorically Romance Podcast, and I think that's it.
Yeah,
Yes.
we'll have all that information in the description. Y'all want to check it out. And you can follow me at Rachel's Reviews, all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. Check that out. Also, make sure you're following the podcast, Hallmarkies Pod, Hallmarkies Podcast, all of our social media. Also, I have been every Friday around 12:35 Mountain Time. I've been on the movie show here at KSL, and you can listen to the episodes on KSL podcasts on there every Friday during this holiday season. So if you want to hear more of my thoughts and just hear me on the radio, you check that out. And that's been a lot of fun, good practice, like being on live radio. So I would appreciate everybody checking that out. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. That helps us so much. During this time of year, people to be able to, when they search, they'll define the podcast. If there's those ratings and reviews, 5 stars. And if you are watching on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Appreciate that so much. We also have the Patreon group, which is the biggest way you can support everything we do. We've had Paul Campbell on as one of our patron guests, going to be part of watch alongs and Q&As. We have the next Q&A coming up. We have Julie Sherman Wolf coming on, writer extraordinaire. So that's going to be super fun. You can ask her about the Chiefs movie. You can ask her about a bunch of different stuff that she's done, and she's just a delight. So that's going to be really, really fun to talk with her. And any level of patron can participate in these activities and the other benefits. And so please, please, please take a look at that. Would really appreciate it. And then we have the merch store where we have new designs for Die Hard, for Home Alone, for A Christmas Story, for all your favorites. We've got some inspiration in the merch store. So take a look at that. And that's it. That's all we got. And Merry Christmas, everybody. Bye.
Merry Christmas.